Dort, and I'm down to dunk. This is Luke Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
I'm Josh Giddey, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, this is Kenny Hustle, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Darius Baisley, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Poku, and I'm down to dunk.
I love cereal. Captain Crunch, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Cracklin' Oat Bran.
Oh, I can have these. I'm gonna share with my team, but I'm gonna hog most of them.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. It's Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you to anyone who has served in the armed forces in the United States of America, and also thank you to all that have and that have passed. It's a great thing. It's a great thing to celebrate. So, do appreciate everyone there, and appreciate you guys joining us today. With me, as always, my good friend Michele Vera. Michele, what's up?
Now I know why you asked me to record earlier. I didn't know that. I am a zero in terms of American history, so it's good to know why you're on vacation or whatever. So
here's the thing: we Americans know so little about world history that it's okay. I had a friend. My first college roommate was from London.
Mm-hmm. You told me that.
He used to make fun of us so much. Like, we had a group of friends, and like, we know like nothing about history. We don't like barely anything about American history. And he used to make fun of us so much because he's like, I know more about American history than you do, you idiots. So it's all good. We know nothing. We do know one thing: the Thunder had the second and 12th pick in the draft, which is pretty cool. And so today's show, just to lay it out, we're going to discuss our favorite pairings of the second and 12th pick, then run through some scenarios of what happens at 2, then what we like at 12, not necessarily what we should or could happen, but are just kind of our favorite pairings. And then the second half of the show, I recorded a live room on the Athletic app. So several of you were on it. It's kind of cool because it kind of plays as almost like AM, FM radio show where people can call in and ask questions and I answer them. So I will attach that to the tail end of this show. And if you see those pop up, that's what they are. And you can listen to them as long as you have the app, even if you're not a subscriber. So that link will take you in. You can listen to it if you're not an Athletic subscriber. But if you are an Athletic subscriber, you can ask questions on those. If you go to theathletic.com/down-to-dunk, you can get it for $1 a month for 6 months, and you can interact directly with us. So,
which, by the way, this is the best time to get it because it's the finals. There is probably a draft guide coming up. So, I mean, $6, that is like Sam's guide will be more than enough to compensate your money. So it's just unbelievable.
Even just the mock draft that he's got out. I mean, it's like 5 billion words, and he talks in detail about all of the top 30 guys, and then he, gives a pick for every other second round pick. It's good stuff. You should go check it out for sure. All right, so let's just go with the conventional wisdom of today, May 30th, 2022, and that Jabari Smith out of Auburn will be the number 1 pick in the draft. That's what the Draft Express guys have. Jonathan Gavoni, we've talked in detail about how much he knows. Sam Vecini's got him number 1 too. Those to me are the top 2. If you do look at the Ringers draft guide, Kevin O'Connor's got Chet going number 1. And there's part of me that like still thinks that Chet is more of a Magic guy than Jabari is, but maybe they're going to want to go away from.
Yeah, parts of me just think that Chet is the better player. So he should go number 1. It's not like the Luka Doncic draft where there was this number 1 guy in Aiton, and I mean, Luka was there, but I don't know. I kind of feel that, yes, one day I'm drawn to Jabari's shot making. But on the other, I really think that Chet can be can be so special. And I don't know. It's I'm still struggling. I will not take that decision lightly, because it's like, for me in Lucas here was, yeah, it's him. Go with him, and that's it. This year it's a problem, because you can see Chet's body failing him. You can see Jabari's shooting not being like elite. Would you be extremely surprised if Jabari for his career is 46% from 2 and 38% from 3?
Surprised?
37?
I think I would be. There's the
You would
quality.
be?
Yeah, I think the quality of shots that he got at Auburn, and the fact that he just drained threes, I'd be surprised. I think he's going to be really good.
So you don't put any stock at all in his free throw percentage at all?
I don't know. To me, the eye test to me is just like, this guy's going to just be ridiculous. And he's really
I'm not saying he's a bad shooter. I'm just saying normal good.
Yeah.
Not elite. Like,
it's possible. It's possible. It's within the realm of possibilities, certainly. If he's on the Thunder, I would say he's going to be elite, just because he's got elite playmakers next to him. So
it's hard to be 50-40 in the league. It's quite hard. And I think that
it's going to be 50-40-90. So maybe you just take him anyways, because he's going to do that.
Sure. No, but okay, this is not the topic of the pod, but I really think that there is a huge difference between a shooter that can be 42, 33, 44% from 3 and one that is 38.
Yeah.
If you have enough volume, you're great anyway, but there is a difference.
You're right. It'll depend on his role within the team. If he's Rashard Lewis to this team and he's shooting 38%, it's not ideal for the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the name you used, it's perfect. It's just perfect. Like, do you like Rashard as a number 1 pick? I don't think so.
I don't. And let's be clear, like, Rashard Lewis made all-star teams and was a very helpful player to that Magic team that made the NBA Finals, but he wasn't the best player on that team.
No. And this is more of the Chris Middleton kind of outcome. And Jabari will be probably better defensively than Rashard. But like, Chris is a good player. He's a very good player. And clearly not the number 1 guy in any of the playoffs team that are fighting for something.
Yeah.
And probably in many of those, he will not win number 2 easily. Let's put it this way. Mm-hmm. So it's fine, but it's a good outcome for the number 1 pick. I would be okay, but just okay, not happy. Let's put it this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. The thing is, like, with the Thunder, though, is that he fits the needs of the Thunder. Like they need a defensive big man that can switch out, and they need somebody to make shots. And so you can see why people would definitely want him.
Yes. Yes, I do. Yeah, Chris fits Milwaukee to a T. Yeah.
Yeah, he's proven to be the perfect running mate for Giannis, because they've won an NBA title. And that's the
and when he wasn't there, not the same.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no doubt. So let's assume that he's gone. I think it's simple to predict Chet Holmgren going to the Thunder at 2. I just don't think you overthink it. I think that's the guy you take. The TMZ is hilarious, because they just put out these videos of people just like rushing up to whoever it is, celebrity X, and they just ask him questions. And this girl was like, "Hey, Chet Holmgren," it was just really funny. And she's like, "Do you want to be the number 1 pick? Do you want to be a Magic?" And he's like, "Well, I just want to go to the team that fits me best and is gonna." And it's just,
which is not yes.
Yeah, it's not yes. It's not necessarily no, but it feels like no. It does feel like the Thunder are the match for him. And
if you don't want to say anything definitive, you can say, of course, I want to be the number one pick.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
is more assertive as an answer than the one that Chet gave. Because,
Yes.
I mean, you don't want to dog on any of the franchises that are after Orlando, but you can say, I definitely want to be number one.
Yeah.
Like many players in the past said that.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, there is no, it's not that if you are OKC, there is zero chances that you can trade up and get Chet at number one.
hmm
But a guy like him could have said, hey, yes, I want to be the number one pick in the draft. And he was, yeah, I want to be on a team that, yeah, sure. Like, okay, that's a no to me. That's actually a no to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I think you'd be
It
very
is.
excited to be on the Thunder. So if they do take him number 2,
Mhm.
who do you like at 12 for him? I mean, there's going to be, the interesting thing about this draft is that there's options of all sorts, except for a guard, like a point guard, which the Thunder don't necessarily need anyways.
Who's
Which is great, because there's been
Mhm.
drafts where you get to like 11, 12, 13, and it's like, oh, this is the point guard range.
yeah.
And you don't want to, the Thunder don't want that.
Yeah, the point guard range for this draft is more between 16 and 22.
Yeah.
With Jaden Hardy, Ty Washington, and
Maybe Chandler. Yeah.
yeah, which is extremely short. But who knows? Who's the player, Paul, that I have available? Let's rule out some guys that are surely going to be picked by then.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the ESPN mock draft and see who's in this range. Let's say 8 to like 13.
Yes.
So anyway,
And if Mathurin is 7, let's put 7 in it.
Yeah, actually, I don't know, because this was right after. He has Ben Mathurin going 11.
No,
Let's
it's not. It's not the right one.
I don't think that's right. Let's say it's like. So
I have best available. So number
Aaron, Johnny Davis, Jang,
Yeah.
those kind of guys. I think you can include like Malachi Branham, and I think AJ Griffin could slide there. I think that's possible. Right now, in like the mock draft that was right after the lottery, it's 7 Jalen Duren, 8 AJ Griffin to the Pelicans, 9 Dyson Daniels to the Spurs, 10 Johnny Davis to the Wizards, 11 Ben Mathurin to the Knicks, and then he's got Usman Jang at 12 to the Thunder.
Yeah.
And then the guys that are after, Mark Williams, Branham, Abaji, Tai, Eason, Sohan at 18.
Yeah, no, I have. There is a recent version which I think fits our discussion better, which is the best available, who has Dyson Daniel at 6, Keegan Murray at 5, Shaden Sharp at 7. I think that this is actually a bit better. I don't think the Daniels will be there. And then they have 8 AJ Griffin, 9 Mathurin, 10 Duran, 11 Davis, 12 Jeng, 13 Branham, Mark Williams, Sohan, Agbaji, and Tai. So I think that if we take from AJ Griffin to Tai, I think we have a good crop of player. Not that neither of us will probably pick Tai. So, but I think that Agbaji has at least a chance to be discussed. It's not my pick. But if I have Chet Holmgren, I'm almost feel more convinced that AJ Griffin is the choice at 12. I really love the shooting. I know that probably Mathurin is the safest pick, but I just want to just try to get the best player available, period. The best guy. And I think that AJ has and will be the best shooter among the players that are in the draft, maybe even better than Jabari Smith. It's not a stretch to say that. I think that he has a great body strength. He's not a good defender by any means. Chet helps with that. But also Jabari helps with that. I don't think that changes the equation a bit. I think that Chet helps you because one thing that AJ struggled a little bit doing was containing penetration. And if you drop Chet, you have another weapon there. So to me, AJ is the choice. Again, I really love the shooting. I really think that I would bet money on AJ Griffin being more than a 40% 3-point shooter. Questions for him are elsewhere, not on the shooting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I agree with that. I have been in and out on the AJ Griffin debate here, and I think I'm back in just because. And I talk about this later. If you're listening to the podcast, I talk about this later. It's a question from somebody on like how to identify somebody in the draft that is going to exceed their draft where they were taken in the draft. It happens every single year, and it happens in about this range where there is somebody in this range that has some kind of deficiency, whatever it is. This is the range where Donovan Mitchell went. It always happens like around like between like 11 and 15. There's a few players that you look at and you're like, you know what? They have a significant hole in their game, or there's something injury related, or there's something you don't like about them. Like 12 through 14 in 2019 was Luke Kennard, Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo. You look at 8, 9, 10 in that same draft, just a few picks before, Frank Ntilikina, Dennis Smith, Zach Collins. I mean, that's tough. That's the 2017 draft. You look at 2018, another great example, 10, 11, 12. Mikal Bridges, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Miles Bridges. You look at 6, 7, 8, 9, Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter, Colin Sexton, and Kevin Knox.
Oh boy, that's rough.
2019. I mean, it just happens every year. It's hilarious.
And in 2018, you also had Tyler Hero. I think after Shai. 2 picks after Shai.
Heroes in 19.
19? Oh yeah, but 13 was such a bad pick.
So bad.
Was
so
Jerome
bad. Yeah.
Robinson? Yeah.
Yes, Jerome Robinson. Yeah, that was horrendous.
That was
19. You have Jarrett Culver 6, Kobe White 7, Jackson Hayes 8. Then you go to 11, 12, 13, Cam Johnson, PJ Washington, Tyler Hero. I mean, it's almost like clockwork where you look at the range of 2020, Killian Hayes, Obi Toppin, Denny Avdia. Yikes. 11, 12 is Devin Vassell, Tyrese Halliburton.
Which is better. Yeah, I think that between 10 and 15, like a lot of stuff happens. And we were high on guys that went 8 or 7, or I remember us being high on Ntilikina, being like, hey, he will be a great defender. Never developing to one, or a guy that you can play on offense. So there is a lot there, but it's not that those players that you mentioned have a lot in common. Take the Adebayo draft. I mean, he and Mitchell, what is this? What are the similarities? Nothing. Like literally nothing. Or take Shai, take Miles Bridges or Mikal Bridges, like an old guy, then a guy that is not super young, and another one that is not even a rookie in college, which is not a term, freshman. Sorry. So it's not that there is a type of player that you can say, hey, if you have a guy that has A, B, and C around that pick, then you can be like sure enough that he will be a great player, because all of the players that are there, like Johnny Davis, he may be surrounded by better players and just be better. He was the Big Ten Player of the Year. AJ Griffin, hey, just give him time and give him like a lot of shots and he will be incredible. Take Mathurin. Mathurin is already a good shooter. He can be better. And if you add the free throw rate that he has, wow, you can have a 3-level score. So there is a lot to like in any of these players. And these 3, to me, are the one that I like the most. And then you get into the Sohan discussion, which to me is if I have Jabari and I'm comfortable, then
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
that pairing would be so scary on defense.
Oh,
But you are
yeah.
putting so much on the others.
yeah.
You
It's a
have
lot of
Dort.
pressure on the others. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, it's such a huge risk because you have Trey Mann, and probably this gives you a little bit more room to play Trey Mann in more functional lineups because you have a lot of defenders. But it's still, hey, it's hard to see him being on the court with the best players if you want to put Dort there.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the feeling though that Dort may not be in your closing unit because you have so much defense with Sohan and the big man that you can think about putting Trey there, then I'm a little bit more interested. Because if you look at the Warriors, like, they don't have 4 shooters. They have 3, maybe 3.5 in some lineups. And they make it work anyway because they have 5 players that can play defense, with Steph being probably the least of the defenders, and he's not bad.
Yeah, he's gotten better. Yeah,
it's gotten better, but it's not like a good defender by any means. Like,
right.
He's okay. He knows where to be, and he works hard. It's not that Trey Mann can get there. I remember Steph being called like I don't know, the pike I don't know, the pike stuff, the one that you it's just pike pass. Yes. It was like that early in his career. It was just a non-defender. The entire strategy of the Cavs was, hey, let's take Steph and put it in a pick and roll.
Yeah.
It was not a long time ago. It was 6 years ago.
Yep.
Then you probably do it anyway, but it's not as effective as it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In this range, the guys that I like the most, not all these guys are going to make it to 12 or even be in that range, but I love Ben Mathurin. I'm back on AJ Griffin, and I think Johnny Davis would be the other guy in this range, where these are guys that are 6'5" and above. They're going to play on the wing. They all have upside. And I feel like Johnny Davis is slipping on draft boards, which I guess I get it because the shooting wasn't there toward the end of the season, but he had that ankle injury. And I think I don't know if people are forgetting about that, or I don't know. But the guy can get buckets. He can defend. He's going to be super competitive. And that's the thing with some of these guys where, like, I just don't want to take a non-competitive guy. And I think that that's a really important thing that I think the Thunder are trying to identify within all of this is like, I just don't know about Ousmane Dieng's personality. Maybe he is like uber competitive and he's going to end up being one of the guys. But I look at the profiles of the guys that have slipped, like Johnny Davis, like almost fits it to a T if he's there, Abaji, honestly, fits the profile of a guy who falls because he can only do a couple things.
Yeah.
And that's why he's fallen. It's his age and he only does a couple things. Well, guys like that have fallen have been good. I mean, I think about Cameron Johnson.
Yeah.
I think about Mikal Bridges, and he doesn't have like the length that Bridges has, but like, I don't know, like those guys are falling for a reason, but also have like easily identifiable NBA talent, compared to like Ousmane Dieng or Jalen Duren or even Dyson Daniels to a degree. Like all those guys have tremendous talent and potential, but these other guys like Johnny Davis and Abaji and even Malachi Branham, like all those dudes are going to shoot it at the NBA level. Like I feel pretty convinced of that.
Yeah.
And the guys that I mentioned before, I think it's a huge question.
Yes, it is. In terms of shooting, it is. In terms of, I would not put Dyson Daniels in the same bucket of
I tend to agree.
Dieng and Duren.
Yeah, I tend to agree because we got to see Daniels play against grown men in the G League, and he did quite well.
Yeah, and he brings 3 things that I think are extremely translatable to the league, which is passing, defense and a killer floater, which
He's
is
got a killer floater. That's true.
which is extremely important because that allows you to be at least dangerous in pick and roll situations. Now, I think that one of the things that I really like about Johnny Davis is the fact that he will probably play in any lineup for KC and being a plus defender with size, which is something like if you can get a player that is a bucket getter who likes to play defense and takes pride in it, and is also able to move the ball, maybe not being the primary ball handler, that is a huge value in the league. Huge value. Even if it's not like even if it's only a 35-36% three-point shooter, which is probably what he will be in the league.
He can still attack, which I love about him. I love his competitive nature. Like I just watching him at Wisconsin, you're just like, this dude is amazing. I mean, he's the player of the year at Wisconsin. Like I just have a hard time believing he's going to fail at the NBA level. Yeah.
Remember though that we had the same discussions about Jalen Suggs. The fact that we don't think that he is going to be a problem for him shooting wise or being a leader or being.
We missed that. Did you see that report that came out about Suggs? It wasn't a report. It was a tweet that I saw about how poorly he performed in workouts.
Yeah, that I think that we discussed it. We even discussed it in the past. Yes.
There was another one that came out recently where they talked about how he was performing so badly and was so frustrated that he had to leave and then came back the next day and performed just as badly. And so, I mean, you're like wondering why he slipped a little bit.
But we have no idea if this is Johnny Davis' story, because from everything we see, when a player slides in workouts is not the best. Like Vassell is a player that surely probably had some issue in terms of workouts. He was mocked initially as 6, 7, and ended up being 11th, and he went into the perfect situation for himself. And he's still not, to me, top 7 worthy in any draft. So I think that when a player is sliding too much, there is something that we should at least infer and saying, hey, either is a medical, like why everything is slipping. OG, yes, I don't know. Either is medical, Michael Porter Jr., that is another example, or it's because like the workouts are not going anywhere. Like Culver is another example. He was thought as a top 3 pick, and then after workouts, it's not so much. And like there were rumors that he had one of the most horrible workouts ever in terms of shooting, like breaking every three that he took. And if this is the Johnny Davis story, then it's hard. So like we have to remember ourselves that the college shooting, like making a mid-range pull-up, is not equivalent being like a great shooter in the NBA, even a passable shooter in the NBA. That we should not make that assessment when we evaluate players. We need to get other tells, like if the free throw percentage is good enough. And by good enough, I mean 80 or above, which is why I post so many time on Jabari, because that is 80%, barely. Like I remember when people had questions about Tyler Hero and he had like 92% from the free throw line. I said, no, that cannot be a worry, because that is like only pure shooters can average 85 and above. Yeah. And so that's why I'm a little bit scared about Johnny Davis. And I have no doubts that both
79%. Like he's not terrible.
Yeah, no, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. Suggs was more in the 73, 74 range. Yeah. So I just wanted to put out there that when a player slides and it's workout season, we should read a little bit on that. Again, not everything, because I mean there are examples on both sides. Like it can go well or it can go bad. But from our discussion, I think that the conclusions that we can draw are we both don't like the idea of taking Jalen Duren. That is even not an option for us.
Or Mark Williams.
Or Mark Williams, yes. It's too early. Again, I like Mark Williams. I think that he can be good for a team, but not there. 24, 22, yes. let's give it a shot. And then we are scared to death about Usman Jang because like the
I'm scared
profile.
on Jang. Yeah, because here's the other thing about Jang. It's like they've got Poku, right? And like a tall wing that can pass. Yep, we got one of those projects already.
Yeah.
Can you really afford to take Jang and have Poku on your team at the same time and feel like you're going to develop both of them well? I think it's an interesting question to ask yourself. To me, a lot of people talk about like Jaden Ivey in the 3-guard lineup. That's where I'm like, why don't you just take Chet and draft Johnny Davis and not have to give up anything or have to trade back? And you can have a 3-guard lineup with those guys.
If your evaluation of Chet and Ivy is not different, then you go. I don't see having Ivy in the same tier of Chet because of the complete lack of left hand.
Yeah.
Which is something that. But on the other end, you can point to Shea and say, "Hey, OKC fixed the exact same problem."
Yeah, it's true.
On a player,
it's true.
And went
also Shea fixed
great.
It. Like OKC fixed it, and Shea was willing to do it, and maybe Jaden's got the same stuff. Going back to the free throw stuff, Abaji's best free throw percentage was this season at 74%. He was 68% his sophomore year, 67% 67% his sophomore year, 68% his junior year. Freshman year, 69%, the perfect.
Yeah, that's not a natural shot. That is a shot that he built, and he's still building.
Yeah.
But it's building it's trending in the right direction. That is a very good tell.
Yeah.
To which degree it will translate, I think that on open shots he will be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But there are clear signs that he's not a feel kind of shooter, so he will not be good when you press him, when you move him. Like he's hey, if I'm open, it's a Bruce Bowen kind of shooter. Like if I'm in the corner, you pass me the ball, I will be very good. Mm-hmm. And maybe Bruce Bowen is not the right example, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. To me, I'm like fully on board with like taking a wing or a guy like give me a 6'5" wing that has shooting or creation potential. Those are the guys that I want. Like that's the kind of guy I want at 12 to pair with Chet or Jabari. That's to me, that's the guy. Those are the guys they should take a swing on if you're at that there are potential the dream scenario when it comes to this draft. So that's to me, that's the best. That's the best possible outcome there. I think I went out for a minute.
I haven't catch anything of the thing that you said, but hey, there's another incentive for you to go back and listen to pod.
There you go, because it will be recorded and you will hear this if you're not live. All right. Anything else, Michele, that you need to get off your chest before we get
very quickly? If Sohan is the pick, I would not be disappointed, because I think that if the system is, or the team is confident that he will be the guy there, he has so much potential defensively that you can really see the team working. And there are many examples of the teams that are in the finals. There is place for a 6'10" guy who can move his feet like a dancer and play with fire. That is what Sohan is. I don't buy the shooting at all, but hey, you can say, hey, because with Dort, if it works to perfection, you still have a player that is far from being elite.
Yeah.
If you have a 6'10" guy who can play awesome defense, which I'm kind of sold on.
Yeah.
If you have like Herb Jones with
Yeah.
a shot, that is a player that everyone wants.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah. And you have if you have him and Chet, I mean,
or Jabari, you have a
Or
front
Jabari.
court that is extremely versatile and will be a lockdown front court,
yes,
which is useful.
they're going to block everything. They're going to play a physical brand of defense.
Yeah, which exactly, it bonds well with the physicality that Presti requires. Then you have your starter in Kenrich Williams. You have Dort off the bench. There you go. So that you have my Dort hate for the day.
There's good options there, but still, I would rather go with more shooting. I think Chet's going to provide shooting. I think that's going to be there. And then if you can add like 2 shooters to this team, like I think you can start cooking with something. So, all right. On the other side of this break, if you're listening on the podcast, you are going to hear an Athletic Live room that I did earlier today. If you want to participate in one of those, just keep a lookout on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew K. Schlecht for that. Hope you guys are doing great. Happy Memorial Day, and we will talk to you guys again on Wednesday.